Boys, we are in the Miami apartment. Wanted to do a quick little intro for the video that you're about to watch. In this video, I break down exactly how I was able to go from zero to making my first $25,000 with organic in just 3 months, and pretty much dissecting the whole entire process and foundation that really just led me to get to where I'm at today in just a year and a half, and how it really kind of started. So this is going to be more for my beginners that are really trying to either start organic or just learn how to scale to at least $10,000 a month, and truly what it takes to get to that level, because no one's going to really tell you on YouTube. Everyone's trying to sell you a fucking dream, and I'm here to tell you the straight reality of what worked for me, and also the mentality that I had in the beginning stages of, Kevin, right? And so if that's you, watch this video. If you can't get through a full 20-minute video, then I'm sorry, bro. This life is not for you. So this is going to be for the people that are actually going to take action and have, a couple brain cells in their head to actually watch a full-fledged 20-minute video. So if that's you, watch the video, take some notes. And with that being said, guys, enjoy it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. So in 3 months, I was able to go from a complete noob at organic, knowing zero about the subject, doing DoorDash, doing Uber Eats full-time and not having a job, to then making my first $25,000 with organic dropshipping in just 3 months. Okay. And then later on in my journey, 6 months later, I hit my first big winner, making over $100,000 with that product alone. And again, during this time period right here, as you guys can see in these 3 months, I was simultaneously running multiple products at once. And you guys can go ahead and search these products up on TikTok, Instagram, and take a look for yourself. And so the first thing we're gonna be talking about, and there's gonna be 5 main things that I'll be discussing on how to speedrun a 10K a month. So make sure you stick throughout the whole entire 5, because you essentially need all 5 to make this work. But the first one we're gonna be talking about is obsessing over organic. So in the beginning, you need to start deep diving into the rabbit hole of organic dropshipping and start only intaking information revolving around it. And so when I first started my journey, I completely no-lifed this, right? I was literally just watching as many YouTube videos as possible on organic, and watching as many free courses as possible to just surround myself with as much information and just really obsess over this, because it truly is a rabbit hole. And there would be countless nights where I would just be staying up all night and literally just obsessing over this, right? And so like I said, this is the time where you'll be learning and rewiring. So you're going to be wanting to watch only organic videos on YouTube and short form content, and you want to start reading books related to e-com and mindset, because again, we are living in an economy that is so full of noise and distractions that there are so many things that we could just be like, oh shit, this is a pretty cool reel, this is a pretty cool video, and we get distracted instantly, right? And so when it comes to focus, right, it's just pretty much eliminating all options but one, right? And so in the beginning of my cycle, in the beginning of my journey, I only had this one dream of mine, and it was organic, right? And so like I said, I started completely obsessing over this to the point where I was only watching videos on that certain subject and reading books related to e-commerce business and mindset. As well, I was doing daily journaling to make sure that I was setting myself accountable in terms of the tasks that I wanted to do every single day, and also just manifesting the life that I wanted, because I truly believe that journaling is something that can definitely change your life, but you also need to implement the correct action in the physical world for it to actually work, right? And again, I was cutting off all distractions that had nothing to do with organic dropshipping. And so after this, I literally made a written promise to myself, and I recommend you do this, right? You make a written plan/promise to yourself to keep you accountable, right? So this can be, the end of the year goals. I want to make X amount of money by the end of the year, your business goals, and overall just your long-term vision of where you kind of want to take e-com at the end of the day. And so literally in 2024, you guys can see the date right here. This was March 31st, 2024. I literally wrote a written promise to myself saying that I will make 20,000 profit by the end of the year, as well as learn how to build a business from scratch. I will live in Florida and get in the best shape of my life, and I will feel the best I've ever felt and give it my all. So this was actually when I was living with my cousin and sleeping in his spare bedroom, trying to find an apartment and literally just see what I was going to do for the rest of my life after I quit my job and moved across the country, right? And so this is definitely going to keep you accountable, and I 100% recommend that you just write everything, because when you write something down, you're essentially translating a thought into the physical world, and that just makes it that much more achievable at the end of the day. And so now that we got the mentality out of the way, as well as just, the learning and rewiring, we're going to be going straight into product research, right? Because now obviously we need to get into the nitty gritty of, drop shipping. And so how are we going to actually find these winning products? So, right, you're going to be starting to do product research on your own as soon as possible to get exposed to products that are currently going viral and selling in the market, right? This will keep you up to date on the market and what's currently working, right? So this is the person who keeps on testing products, and this is the person who gives up on testing new products, right? Because at the end of the day, just like gambling, you need to just keep on going, right? Because you could be this close to hitting your first winning product that completely changes your whole trajectory of your life. Because believe it or not, when I got my first sale and made my first $20,000 with my first product that I showed in the video, the Deadpool mask, it completely changed my life, because it literally showed me that this is possible and that there's actual proof of concept that if I just do more of this, I can make more money, right? And so with that being said, we need to understand winning products before we start anything, right? And so before you start, you need to understand that this business model, organic dropshipping, is based off of impulse purchases. The easier it is for the customer to justify their purchase, the more it will sell. Right, because at the end of the day, we're selling products online via social media, and these guys have no idea who we are, right? And so typically, the products that we will be selling will sell for $25 to $100 on average, since people will typically justify that when purchasing something off a random website, right? Because again, we are not completely branded just yet. We don't have crazy amounts of credibility, and so a lot of people, when they find our product via social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, they're going to be a little bit sketched out about it. And so when a product goes over the $100 threshold, people start using their brain a little bit more, and they're like, all right, well, maybe I shouldn't be spending $150 on this product, right? And so this is typically the kind of average that I like to stay with when it comes to my product. So for example, the Deadpool mask right here that I was selling this for about, I think, $50, right? So a little bit higher ticket, but it was good enough, okay? Now, let's talk about product research methods, right? And so the first one that you've probably heard about, and maybe you haven't, is the burner method. And I recommend anybody that has done, $0 in revenue all the way up to $10,000 in revenue, because this is going to be the most beginner friendly and known method, because this will train your eyes to detect winning and bad products, right? And so Kevin, how do you actually do the burner method? It's really simple. You go into your TikTok account, you go into your Instagram account, you can do both, and you're essentially priming up the account by searching up hashtag Amazon made me buy it. And when you do this, you're gonna be seeing a whole bunch of different products that are most likely drop shipped or on Amazon, right? But the whole basis behind this is to essentially prime up the account to only show you products. And so essentially, kind of like how you watch TikTok on your own and you see that your For You page starts to change to what you like. This is the same basis, right? We are literally tricking the algorithm to find us winning products on these social media platforms that are currently going viral and have proof of concept, right? And so, like I said, you'll most likely be able to make your first couple of sales due to the fact that you'll be seeing what's working in real time. And so because of this, this is going to be the most competitive method, since 99% of the space is doing it, right? And so like I said, if you haven't made any money with organic, or you made, just about $10,000 in revenue, you should be sticking to this method, because it's kind of like the least barrier to entry and the highest return in the beginning of your journey. But let's say that we, want to try something new. And so this is the method that I personally use, but I only recommend this if you've done more than $10,000 in revenue, because you truly need to have an eye for a winning product, right? And this is going to be the Ali and Temu method. And essentially what this is, you're going into these websites, AliExpress.com or Temu.com. And again, you're just looking for products on these websites that are completely untapped and you haven't seen before. But with that being said, there's millions and probably billions of products on these websites, which is why you need to have an eye for products to even consider doing this at first, right? And so this is why I recommend you should have done at least $10,000 in revenue, because by that point, you probably have a decent eye of what a good product looks like, right? And so this is going to be the most advanced method, since like I said, you need to have product selection dialed in, And this is how you truly make the real money, and how I personally do product research, because what you're doing essentially is you're finding an untapped product and you're bringing it into your market, whether that's the US market, the European market, whatever it may be. And you're going to be essentially the number one person in the market and getting the majority of the market share, considering the fact that you're bringing in a brand new product that no one has ever seen before. Right. And so, for example, if we look at this screenshot that I took, this right here was one of the biggest winning products last year. This has done multiple 6 figures, maybe probably 7 figures in revenue, amongst multiple drop shippers. And it's because somebody was able to source this on one of these websites and bring it to their market and absolutely blow it up. And, it provided value, it had a wow factor, and people were going absolutely crazy about it, right? And so this is how you really make the big bucks, right? I'm yapping. I'm speedrunning this video as well. And so now, product testing, right? And so let's say you ordered a couple of products via the burner method, right? Or the AliExpress method. This is the time where we have to start testing products, right? And so the main goal during this time is to test as many products as possible. And typically you want to be testing 3 to 4 products at a time, since we are speed running, right? This is all about speed here. And you want to get as good as possible at making content, video concepts, and being super intentional with every piece of content that you put out, and actually treating this like a full-fledged business and not just a side hustle. Because when people think of dropshipping in any sort of like online money space, they consider this a little part-time, right? A side hustle. But if you actually want to make this your full-time thing, and I'm assuming that you are if you're watching this video and you got this far, you need to start treating this like a full-fledged job, okay? And so these are the first 4 products that I started testing in the beginning of my journey, and I was simultaneously testing each of these products. And so I would film, like 2, 4, like 8 videos in a day, every day, and treating this as like a business, even though I wasn't getting any views, right? And again, I was posting on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And so right when you have your products in hand and you're testing, this is what I would call machine gun testing, since we are testing multiple products at once and we are trying to find a winning concept that's going to get us viral and get us views and then translate to sales. And so this is what I call machine gun testing, right? And so with the machine gun testing, right, you want to at least have 6 different video concepts to test per product, right? And I typically like to pre-make these 6 videos before I even start posting for the account, just so I have momentum. Because again, we are posting 2 videos daily to create momentum behind our accounts, behind the algorithm, to show them that, hey, we're real and we are willing to give it our all. And the more consistent you are in these platforms, the more you will get rewarded. And so after 3 days of consistently posting 2 videos a day per product, right, you're going to be checking back on the video performance and see what concept performed the best and see how you can perfect it, right? Because 9 out of 10 times, these platforms will show you data depending on which videos did best. And by data, I mean views. It literally just shows you how many views each video got. And typically, you'll be finding some sort of outlier video that did best out of all the other ones, right? And so if this concept that got you the most amount of views continues to perform, this is when you want to double down and post more of what's already working, right? And if not, you want to keep testing more concepts to essentially find that one outlier video. Again, the whole basis around this is to find a outlier video that got more views than all the other videos that we can go ahead and double down and perfect to essentially make us go viral, right? And so, like I said, if it works, you're gonna wanna do more. If your videos are performing and getting you sales or views, just do more of what's already working. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. And so this is a great example that I'm gonna go ahead and just show you here. And this is one of the products that I started running. And these were essentially print on demand Call of Duty canvases. You guys probably saw this on your For You page because I got a crap ton of views, made a shit ton of money with it. But essentially, these were my first couple of videos that I started the account with. And as you guys can see, I was getting 3,000 views, 9,000 views, 2,000, 3,000. And then all of a sudden, I got 20,000, 150, and you guys see the damage here. But why? But why did this actually started to work? And so what I noticed from this account is that not only did I start changing the concepts that I was doing, right, but I was also integrating new variations of the products, right? Because with my Call of Duty frames or canvases, I was introducing new maps, new Call of Duty maps. And so I noticed that the best performing maps were the Nuketown maps and anything that had to do with Black Ops and zombies. And so this video right here was when I introduced Nuketown. This video right here was when I introduced zombies. And then I started to read the data, analytically testing and seeing that, okay, the platform wants more of those types of canvases. And so I did just that, right? This one completely flopped because I started doing Modern Warfare, did not like that. But I continued with Black Ops, and then boom, look, I started to absolutely blow up. And I was posting my CTA after just a couple of videos right here, right? Leading people into my website to buy my canvases, right? And so again, I read the data, I did more of what was working, and again, the platform is going to reward you. And so now I'm gonna show you one of my students, right? And so this is gonna be more of a student example and a little bit different of a scenario, right? And so sometimes you're gonna be picking a product that's already being ran by multiple people, you're gonna have competition, but what me and my student Anthony noticed is that we were picking a product that was already being ran by somebody else and had extreme proof of concept because this guy was going absolutely viral and getting a crap ton of sales. And so what we did was we chose a already validated product and then we switched up the marketing angle. And so what I mean by this is that we were actually taking this Hello Kitty plushie into all of these, famous and public places. And, this was the first video ever that we posted. And immediately we got the data like, okay, this is obviously going to work. Your first video almost got 10,000 views. And so we doubled down. We started taking the plushie to different stores, continuing to film in public and, putting us in the position of like, hey, we just found this product at this store, but in reality, we actually make them. And so we had both a hybrid of virality and also putting ourselves in the position of owner and brand owner and literally telling people, hey, these are handmade Hello Kitty baby sets that we make and we're a small business. And so what we did is we looked at the data and we saw that TikTok loved this sort of content. And so we doubled down on what was already working and we started posting absolutely aggressively. So we were posting 3 to 4 videos a day, but just take a look at the sheer amount of views that we got. And so with this method, right, we were able to get, and I was able to get Anthony his first ever sale with organic dropshipping after coming from another mentorship that completely scammed him, right? Bro didn't make a single dollar with this guy. I'm not gonna say any names. And then making his first 1.4K with organic, right? But the only reason why he did this was because he stuck to the plan, he read the data and chose a validated product and just simply switched the marketing angle. And so there's different scenarios that you can kind of work around to essentially find your first ever working video that you can go ahead and make your first couple thousand with organic. And so with that being said, none of this works without consistency, right? And this is going to be number 4. We're almost done, guys. I promise it's only 5. So number 4 is going to be consistency, right? And so you want to continue running 3 to 4 products at the same time, right? Again, we're optimizing for speed here. And you want to be posting 2 times a day per product without missing a day. And you want to be doing as much product research as physically possible while still doing this to keep yourself fresh in terms of what's currently working within the marketplace and perfecting content and mastering your editing skills, right? And so like I said, consistency is the name of the game. None of this works if you're not consistent. And so with that being said, like I told you guys, I was running these 3 products simultaneously at the same time. The Merc face mask, I was running another jewelry product and the Call of Duty frames. And again, I was able to go ahead and blow up my first ever product with the winking Deadpool mask. I made a total of $20,000 in revenue. And then at the same time, I blew up another product. This was an necklace jewelry set. And again, made another $2,000 at the same time. And then my last product, I made a total of $3,000. And so like I said, I've been mentioning speed this whole entire time. And so even if it's just 1 to 2 hours a day, as long as you're pushing the needle towards success, you'll eventually get a sale, right? In this game, the results are basically guaranteed, but the speed in which you get them is not. And so eventually you start getting results, but the speed in which you start seeing them really just depends on you and how hard you're willing to work, right? To eventually get to this point where you're making over $8,000 in a single day, you need speed, right? Speed is the name of the game. Money loves speed. And so this is where we need to start applying our knowledge that we're learning from these videos, right? And so what I want to kind of get to is, breaking down the word intelligence and breaking down the word learning, right? And so intelligence is the rate of learning and how fast you learn. And learning is the same condition and new behavior. So for example, if you keep watching, right, these dropshipping videos and you say to yourself, hey, I really want to start learning something from all these dropshipping videos, right? If you watch these videos and you are still in the same exact position as you were before, and then you do absolutely nothing to change your behavior, you learned absolutely nothing. And it's not even an information problem, it's a you problem. Because most of the time we're in this analysis paralysis phase where we're watching all these YouTube videos on how to start organic dropshipping, how to start dropshipping, but you never actually start, and you never actually start to apply the knowledge that you're learning. And so with that being said, there is literally no point in you watching all these videos if you're not actually going to start, right? And like I said, Intelligence is going to be how fast you learn, and learning is going to be how you're going to be able to apply that knowledge and change as a person, right? And so a lot of people come at me and they're like, bro, there's no way I can learn everything, that I need to know to make money, and there's no way I can live this lifestyle. But a lot of people aren't open to actually learning along the way and just starting, right? And so don't be this guy. Don't be this loser right here that just watches all the videos and he tells himself, hey, there's no way, this is all fake, right? But you just need to start and learn along the way and actually apply the knowledge that you're learning. And so I promise you that if you work with the urgency of needing it to happen by next week, but think with the peace of mind that you're willing for it to take 5 years, anything is possible with the right guidance. Because I truly believe that this is a marathon and not a race. And it's really just about treating this like a game and being able to stay in the game as long as possible. Because truly, to stay in business, you have to make money, right? And so as long as you're making some sort of money, you're still in the game. You're still in business, right? And so when I first started, I was willing to accept the fact that this might take 5 years, right? But I was working with the urgency of needing it to happen by next week, right? And so I became this machine of, essentially putting all I had, going 100%, but also willing to learn along the way and just truly being a student of life. Also, if you guys are currently doing organic dropshipping and you're not seeing the results that you want and want to work with me one-on-one, I recently just opened up 3 new spots inside of my elite inner circle. And so if you want to go into Q4 with extreme momentum and make your first $10,000 with organic dropshipping, in the description below, you're going to be seeing a link to my calendar where you can go ahead and book a call with me, right? I don't have any salespeople. It's just me talking to you and seeing if I could help you, right? Because I don't accept everybody that applies for this because, again, I'm looking for dedicated people that I can help, right? And so if this sounds like you have some capital set aside, go ahead, book a call with me. And with that being said, guys, I'm going to end off the video here. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.